Paul Brown said to me, son, act like you've been there before. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I just barely got on the field. I hadn't been there before. So
I'm glad to be part of that trend. You know, sun's out, guns out.
How about Isaac Curtis on one side, Charlie Joyner on the other side? A lot of quarterbacks were very envious that I had those two weapons to throw to. But
now, wait a minute. Is it fair that Pat McInally is still the sexiest guy on our team? Is that?
You got me there. You got me good.
Donald, how you gonna be in that video not represent with a chain? Your tango, man. I got mine on. I'm ready to go.
Oh, that's great. That's priceless.
There are two guys that I think it's a travesty that are not in that Hall of Fame.
Ken Riley and Ken Anderson. Yeah, sure.
Let's put the backdrop on, Jamie. See if Marissa's okay with it.
Yeah, I got her backdrop. Starting the Canadian fan club up here for you.
That is so funny.
My last touchdown, and that's what Joe Burrow's going to end up like if they don't start protecting his ass. It's going to be the next David Klingler, who's simply from David Klingler.
There's no Spanish-speaking people here, very few. So we, fast forward, we go to the Super Bowl in Miami, and the word was the Bengals have two big Mexican offensive linemen. They don't know how to speak Spanish. So I got down there and started doing these interviews in Spanish, and they're like, "Wait, we heard you don't speak Spanish."
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? But I got on the plane one day in an all red Suge Knight suit. And boy, Joe Walters and the line, they destroyed me. I thought for sure I was so clean. I had some gaiters on, all red suit on. I was Suge Knight. They roasted me.
The head coach was the pain in the butt. The Jerry Glenn, he thought he was. If you didn't know who he was, he walked out there like he owned his state. And I always say, if I could get a chance to hit him on the sideline, I would.
I'm tackling your ass, Pete. I'm shoestring low on you.
But I got to tell you, you would have been stepped on, son. You would have had cleats everywhere.
Well, I'm proud to be a Bengal. Yes, I'm proud to be a Bengal. Again, I got nothing from you guys.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. And again, guys, James is out shark fishing right now in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, the Miami area. And literally, if you follow him on, I think, Facebook, there's some videos of him and Canton catching a shark. I'm not sure where Lori was, but they actually caught a shark. So James will be back next week. So he's finishing up family vacation today. I think he said they're snorkeling right about now. So at least they were about an hour ago. They were still snorkeling. So
I love that intro. It's just 3 minutes of us laughing.
Oh, dude, I get a kick out of it every time, and that's good stuff. Good stuff.
Do either of you think James's life should be a reality show?
Right.
Yes, that's absolutely, Tom. It's a great idea. So, all right, guys, we got all kinds of stuff going on here tonight. We've got we're going to talk a little Geno and AJ, their impact on the organization here a little bit later. We've got duck races lined up again tonight. We'll talk about that. We sold 32 ducks, guys. $800 raised for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation that Boomer helps out with. We have Jack Thompson, the Throwin Samoan. Again, guys, not a big name, starting quarterback for many years, but this guy was a very, very good college quarterback, number one draft pick in 1979. So a lot of great stories with Jack. I've talked to him a few times this week. I'm very excited about having Jack on. A couple things, guys. First of all, I want to say thanks and welcome to everybody on the Facebook page, Houday Nation. Those guys are absolutely awesome. So we know they tune in every week. I know Josh and Jennifer and a bunch of other folks from that page are always tuning in, and they bring a lot of value to everybody that follows on that Facebook page. So thanks, Houday Nation. And if you're not following those guys on Facebook, make sure you do. They're really good stuff there, guys. And we have a birthday today, and you might know this face. Happy birthday, Josephine. You're 11 years old today. If you know this face this will be a famous actress someday. She's done all the videos with her family on the weekly videos during game weeks, kind of poking fun at the other team and having some fun every week with the family. So happy birthday, Josephine. We love you. Take care and I hope you had a great birthday today. Good stuff there from Josephine and the family. Let's go into it, guys. You're on one of two teams. You have to decide. All the viewers right now, everybody that's on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, you have to decide. Are you Team Chase? Are you Team Sewell? So this graphic right here, I kind of took off, I think it was Zim from Twitter. I put it up here. I was like, you got to pick a side. You can't be neutral in this, guys. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So type in what team you're on there, Team Sewell or Team Chase, and we're going to have some discussion around this. I guess let's go ahead and start with Jamie. What team you on?
Team Sewell, baby.
Why?
The whole offseason, everything, it's protect Joe. It's all we've been saying since he went down. Actually, we've been saying it on the show before he went down. We need to protect Joe, protect our investment. So if the Bengals are serious about protecting Joe Burrow, it's Sewell.
Okay. Tom?
I've got to go with Sewell, too. I had a posting up today that said, you can spend all the money you want on defense, which they need to, and they've done a good job. You can get all the shiny toys on offense. You can re-up Joe Mixon. You can draft T. Higgins. You can do all that. But if number 9 is not protected, none of it means a thing. So before we can get the luxury items, and I love Jamar Chase. I'd love to see him as a Bengal.
Yep.
But before we do that, I just don't want a line. I want a Super Bowl line. And if everything they say about Sewell is true, that's the way you got to go.
Yeah, and for once we're all going to agree on this. And I know
I know James's vote.
We know James's vote. He didn't have to say anything, but I'm all on Team Chase here, guys. I'm with you. I know I think we had an outstanding free agency. We got it starting right.
Your Team Sewell, you mean, or your Team Chase?
I'm sorry, I'm Team Sewell. Sewell.
All right.
My bad. So I guess I feel the same way you guys do on this, right? But here's the great thing. I think they had a great free agency. Obviously, a lot of defense, focused on defense. We got the starting right tackle. They cut Bobby Hart as soon as that happens. They got to double down on the offensive line, in my opinion. But I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to be mad if they get Chase. To be honest, I'm not even going to be mad if we get Pitts. I think we're in a great position at 5 where it's a no-lose situation. It's one of 3 guys, and I think the order probably goes Sewell, Chase, and Pitts. There's going to be 3 or 4 other tackles taken in the first round. I think we're going to be sit pretty good in that second round for maybe a starting guard potentially. We'll see. So I'm all on Team Sewell here.
All right, let's go with the chat here. Pretty divided as we see on even Houday Nation. It's pretty much a constant thread every day. Let's see. We start off with a lot of Team Chase, and we got some Sewell, Chase, Sewell, Chase.
Damn it.
Pretty divided, guys. And a lot of people, I think, are in the same boat. Although I'm voting for Sewell, and you guys are too, you're not going to be super disappointed if it's Chase.
That's where I'm at. I think we're sitting so good right now with that trade earlier this week. We're sitting good at 5. And you know what, guys? I know there's trade offers happening right now to the Bengals. Who knows? There's still potential if we get a good enough offer, they trade down.
I think draft night is when they're going to probably get their best offers, depending on what happens in front of them. But I think you're right, Jimmy. And it wouldn't be horrid to, we've been worried about all 3 of the potential targets being gone. But think about this now. There's a chance that maybe all 3 of them are on the board at 5. At that point, do you think about, trading back a couple spots and maybe picking up a second round or a third round? I saw there today that the Panthers would be a team interested in trading up to number 5 or number 4. And what would you ask? And I would say, I'd start with their second round pick, and what else do they have to offer?
Yep. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of word and rumors and stuff on social media about Joe Burrow really pushing for his guy Chase that he played with down at LSU. So
Joe Burrow's parents want Sewell. Right. Yeah. No. I mean, how soon do some of these fans forget watching Joe Burrow on the ground. That's all I have to say. I just think if the whole offseason, everyone, that's all I've been talking about is protect Joe, protect Joe. So I think if Sewell's there, I don't see how you not take him. And you know what's going to happen? God forbid you don't take him and something happens. Not good.
Well, they will be getting offensive line here in the first or second round, or second round, if not both.
I agree.
So, all right. So it is pretty divided there, man, with everybody in the chat areas here on all the social media platforms. So, guys, I know you can only see, if you're on Facebook, you can only see the Facebook feed. We can see on our screens here the Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook streams at the same time.
And keep in mind too, even with those streams, Sewell does have, some bruises on the apple, so to speak. As Jeff Hobson said last week, and I've heard Dave Lapham say, the Pac-10, they play that pity-patter offense that, the ball is typically out of the quarterback's hand very quick. He doesn't have to sustain a pass block as long as maybe in the SEC or the Big Ten. The defenses are not that strong and not that fearsome. But he got a very big boost from a high draft pick last year when they asked him who's the best player you played against. And he said Penny Sewell. So
yeah, and I think Greg in the chat area, Greg Luther, has a good point there. This is a really good draft for offensive line. So our biggest deficiency, in my opinion, we're going to get help out of this draft. My big concern was, thank goodness we got Riley playing right tackle, because I didn't want two rookies playing at the same time on that offensive line. So I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted Sewell, they bump him down to they bump Riley down to a guard position. So who knows? So, okay, guys, let's get going here. A couple other, just save the dates here. We kind of reiterate a few things here. April 24th, we have that pub crawl. Kind of went yesterday, made a bunch of phone calls and stopped by a couple places, talking to some managers in some of these places. Turned into another pub crawl, pre-pub crawl. But,
and James just put his vote in the chat. He's tweeting from his boat.
He's eating shark meat right now, texting and watching the show. But the pub crawl on the 24th, guys. So I think we're going to start off. What we're going to do is I was down at the pro shop yesterday. We're going to start off at the pro shop down there in the morning, late morning. Buy your stuff. We can leave our cars parked right at the pro shop. Walk over to the Holy Grail for lunch and some drinks, maybe hit Jefferson Social, maybe go across the bridge to
Smoke Justice.
Smoke Justice. Come back, maybe we hit Blind Pig and hit Knockback Nats. So
Nats, man, my favorite.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Best wings are
wings.
Best
great wings.
And guys, I'm telling you right now, the response on this is I don't have. I know I don't have a brochure, a PDF, or something nice, pretty PDF that I've put out there, but there's going to be a pretty good crowd walking around downtown with Bengal gear on that day. I can tell you that right now. I think right now, I think the people that have said they're coming are about 35 people, and I think it's still early. So I'm telling all the bars and restaurants we're heading to 25 to 50. We will see. The more the merrier. We're going to have fun with it. So. That's April 24th. Save the date. That's a Saturday. And also June 19th, Jungle to Canton, guys. We're really going to be hammering this home every week during the show and not and out off the show's time frames here. It's guys, we really want to make sure we fill the event tent up at the Hall of Fame at 1:00 for that rally. The Jungle to the Hall. We're going to have former players, maybe some current players. We're going to have a lot of media. It is very important for us to show out as fans to this. I know the hotel rooms are going fairly quickly. I don't know how many that are left, but I know the hotel rooms are going quickly. I know I locked up 2 for us as well. So I know there's people going up there the day of and coming back. But if you're going to stay up there Saturday night, make sure you go on and get a hotel room up there that we have. I think the rooms are going pretty quick right now. So
yeah, guys. Also in the chat, drop us a line if you're coming too. We want to see who's all making the Jungle to the Hall. So drop us in the chat. Let us know.
Yep. So June 19th is a big deal, guys. A really big deal. Really looking forward to that. Yeah, Strawberry. We appreciate Big Dog. I know. I know Strawberry's been pushing on his show as well. He does a show 5 days a week, focusing on Bengals, Reds, Bearcats. So he's really involved there. And I know Tony and Carrie will be there. I know we got a bunch of people coming up with us. So just also remember, next Sunday is Easter. We will not be here for the show next week. If I tried to do that, my wife would kill me. But our producer will not be available either, by the way. So he's got family stuff going on too. So we will be taking an off day next Sunday because of Easter. And then, guys, we're back at it April 11th. We have Archie Griffin already in the fold.
James just had a message saying he was available for next week. That's James is available for next Sunday. That's sorry, James.
That's funny. So we have Archie Griffin, the two-time Heisman Trophy winner, lined up for us April 11th. We have Emily Parker from the Bengals on the 18th. And that is a very special day for Emily, that April 18th. And she'll tell you why that day in the show. And I know we're still working on some national draft experts. We're going to get them on before the draft. And Tom, I know you have a guy you've been working with. We're trying to get lined up. And tell everybody about this guy.
Well, a gentleman we've been in contact with is from Our Lads Guides, Dan Shanka, widely respected as his draft guide is the best for fans. And, he's pays particularly good attention to the Bengals. He's a former NFL scout for several decades, in fact, and he's very accurate, very knowledgeable. And he's one of the few guys who isn't just very good at rating the players and ranking them by position and overall, but he also knows what most of the teams are thinking just due to his contacts. So hopefully he can give us, if we can get him on and work it out, because he's very much in demand and is taking care of some family issues right now himself. But if we can get him on, he'll be able to tell us who'll be there at 5.
Yep. So I'm very excited about that. So Archie Griffin on the 11th, Emily Parker on the 18th, the 25th. I'm crossing my fingers right now on a big guest potentially for that. So the guest. That's the Sunday before the draft, guys, on the 25th, by the way. So and next, on the 11th and 18th, we'll talk about more what's going on, because I know a lot of people are heading up north for the draft, limited capacity and some things up there. But I will be heading north. James is heading north with me, and I know a lot of Bengal fans are heading up there for the draft for our 5th overall selection. So let's go ahead and get into this, guys. So let's talk real quick about let's talk about Geno and AJ, guys. So everybody knows they're gone. Tom, what kind of impact did these guys have in the organization? They've been really good for the Bengals organization in the city for sure.
They were tremendous in that reboot at 2010, 2011, where everybody thought Marvin was going to go. Marvin stayed. Geno actually came in 2010, 4th round, an absolute steal. And he was part of what was known back then as the Fisher-Price defensive line. The Bengals had just an incredible run at drafting really talented defensive linemen. Michael Johnson, Carlos Dunlap, and Geno. And, of all of them, Geno had the biggest impact. He's probably not just a future Hall of Famer. There's no question there, although there are other guys that are surefire Hall of Famers that are still waiting to get in that wore stripes. But that's another subject. But, he's probably the best defensive player in the history of the franchise. He was all-decade NFL voted. I believe 8 Pro Bowls, 4-time All-Pro, and, all decade. And, he and Aaron Donald were the defensive tackle, premier defensive tackles of the last decade. And it's tough to see him go, because he was a quality guy, very instrumental in the community. He and his wife, very, very generous, especially during the pandemic and when he was dealing with some injury issues. But, he never took the gas off the pedal. He was really good to the community, really liked playing here, and he's beloved. And, the Bengals typically don't, with the exception of Bob Johnson, retire numbers, but I hope at least for a while nobody wears number 97.
Yep.
For me, guys, I think, in my opinion, they're part of the culture change for the Bengals. These were 2 good dudes. I'm going to miss AJ Green. I had a hard time watching him last season. I was on the show saying there's no way we should have given $18 million for the production that we got. But what he's done for the franchise will not be forgotten. And I agree with people in the chat saying these are both Hall of Famers, at the very least, Ring of Honor recipients at Paul Brown Stadium eventually.
Tom, I want to just check. So Geno being the greatest defensive lineman we ever had, did you say he was, in your mind, he's probably the best defensive player the best defensive player or defensive lineman?
Best player on that side of the ball. Yeah. Best defensive player I think the franchise has ever had.
Hey guys, I know as you're watching, that's a very powerful statement right there, guys. I mean,
Ken Riley should be in the Hall of Fame. Ken Riley was incredible. Same with Lamar Parrish. You got to figure, Tim Crumry, Mike Reed was an incredible talent. Takeo Spikes, Bill Berge, Tommy Casanova. But yeah, I think he's the best defensive player in the history of the franchise.
That's saying something, brother. That's saying something for sure.
You heard it first.
What'd you say, Jamie?
And you heard it here first.
That's right, man. That's right. All right, so guys, let's talk about the duck race here a little bit. So we took we didn't do the duck race last week. Guys, I just want to tell you the charity, the generosity of Bengal fans is just, to me, blows me away. When we first started doing this, we always did it at our tailgate and relied on that small inner circle in the tailgate to kind of help with local charities and any charities that we're working with. But this thing has morphed into something significant. I mean, guys, we are over right now, and actually there's $50 short on it. It's over $5,500 that you guys have raised already for charities in 2021, and the season hasn't even started yet. Just to put that into perspective, guys, last year we raised as a family almost $12,000. So we're almost halfway there, and the season hasn't even started. So I just want to say that this is not us on this screen, guys. It's people like Tony the Tiger, who helps with some of those donations of jerseys and things that him and Carrie are getting together for this. Very generous people. They want to be part of, that, making sure that they're helping out charities as well. And I just want to say this: do you have the picture of that Boomer jersey, Jamie? This is going to be the prize for tonight. And I just want to say thanks to, this is Jungle Joe. I'm sorry, I should have probably put a different image on there where you can see the Boomer autograph on that 7 a little better. But this is an autographed Boomer Esiason jersey that Jungle Joe donated for this week's charity duck race.
That's awesome. So,
guys, I just want to let Joe, it means a lot. You and your wife are just the best people in the world. And for you to do that, and it's a lot of work, kind of getting the charity stuff and getting those ducks sold. It wasn't that hard this week. That Boomer jersey was a big hit for everybody. Guys, I want to tell you, we try to limit the ducks to 30 max, minimum 20, no more than 30 to keep the numbers smaller and your chance of winning better. We did go over slightly because people didn't see the post that they were sold. So we're at 32 ducks sold right now. So Jungle Joe, we love you, big dog. Thanks again. We appreciate it. But this is, since we don't have our normal duck caller today, Tom has volunteered to take James's spot for our duck caller. And we got 32 ducks there.
32.
32. This is it right here. So let's go ahead and roll.
All right. Now, before we go, got some predictions here. I'm going to go with number 17.
I got 11. We need you guys to type your guess in, and the winner gets nothing, just your name on the screen. But
it's a Boomer week. I'm going with 7.
All right. So I'm sorry. What did you say, Jamie? Did you say 13?
17.
17. Okay. All right. We got some new ducks in there. I see some new ducks. So we'll see what happens there. Tom, you got the call.
On your mark, get set.
And they're off. Looks like the COVID duck is out charging in front there initially. Now it's slowing down. Looks like Batman duck was strong. He's falling back a little bit.
Which one's the COVID duck?
A little pink one with the little purple spots on it. Looks like a COVID thing like that. The all red duck coming in because it's opening day week. Coach's duck is hanging strong. Coming through. Got an angry duck. We got a couple ducks bumping in the back. The penguin duck with the top hat. Now we got coming on. The worst thing you can do is be in the lead with about 10 seconds to go as they cruise down the Ohio River, going around the Big Bend.
This is the Licking River. They're going to finish in the Ohio, I hope.
I got to say, number 5 has been up there the entire time. Let's see if he's got to stay, but he's ahead with 10 seconds to
Here
go.
goes.
Not a good image. Down the Ohio River they come, paddling as hard as they can, and here they come, a ferocious charge. Strawberry duck, lime green duck, duck number 12. Jim Gillen with the incredible charge at the end.
Hey, Tom, were you practicing? That was awesome.
I'm getting, I'm getting hate messages right here. I guess James will be back here next week, but awesome win for number 12.
Yeah. So,
what is that, Jamie? What lime? What is that? Like a lime slushy or something?
I don't even know what that is, but I will tell you, commentating this is harder than it looks. That was great.
So nobody? There's tons of guesses in the chat area. Nobody guessed 12.
No, I mean,
we got a bunch of guesses.
But 12, to be honest with you. Yeah. That's funny.
Hey, congratulations, Jay Gillen. I know that is a social media follower on Facebook and Twitter, and I think they bought 2 ducks. Guys, so just to be clear, $800 just went to Boomer Esiason's foundation to help fight and for the research of cystic fibrosis. So, guys, $800, and I don't know if you saw the tweet on Twitter, but Boomer Esiason actually chimed in on that post that we had there. So, good job, guys. $800 towards for Boomer and his foundation, and that's a big deal. Jungle Joe, you're the man, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, my mother and father-in-law get a duck every week, and they just can't win. That's all right, guys. So we've got a few minutes here. I don't think Jack's in the room yet.
Not yet.
Okay, and I'll text him. Trying to think, we have some other stuff to fill in on here a little bit here.
You want AJ Green again?
Yeah, let's hit AJ. Yep.
Do you guys have this open in your other window for anything? That's getting an echo. No? Okay.
But he was truly the symbol of the reboot. And there was something that I saw when he was released that the Bengals put out. Marvin Lewis said, I'd never heard him say this. He was the most talented first-round selection that he'd ever made. I mean, Ray Lewis, Marvin was in on that. Carson Palmer, however you want to feel about Carson. But he came in from the get-go and just took that position over. And, they always say that great receivers don't make quarterbacks look great. And I loved Andy Dalton. They have nothing but good things and to say about Andy and wish him always well in the future. But I really think AJ Green took Andy from a good quarterback and made him a darn good quarterback, if not at moments great. And if it wasn't for the meltdown against Pittsburgh, I think AJ would probably have the most memorable pass reception in Bengals history in that playoff game against Pittsburgh in January of 2016. But just, again, like Geno, a class guy, the type of guy you want representing your city. And we're going to miss him, but, good luck in the desert.
Yep.
I will say our buddy Andy Dalton, those Bears fans are ruthless on social media.
Yeah, if he was worried about it getting tough here from time to time, he's dealing with Andy's going to need to produce. So I hope he does it when we play him this year.
All right, our guest is in the room.
Okay, yeah. One more thing about AJ. The things I'll remember most about AJ Green as a Cincinnati Bengal, guys, is he was truly a raving killer. Like Isaac Curtis was a Cleveland Browns killer back in the 70s. AJ Green was an absolute raving killer for many years, his entire career. And one of my most memorable moments, I was at the game with James, my wife. I think Lori was there. We had a bunch of people down in Jacksonville for that game down in Jacksonville when AJ lost his mind and just started thumping and beating up Ramsey from Jacksonville. That was, I don't know why, that's going to be in my memory forever with AJ. A calm, cool, collective AJ lost his cool for the first time ever in his life, probably. But those are the two things I remember most about AJ. Class guy for sure. All right, so before we bring Jack on, guys, so very special guest here, guys. I'm real excited to have Jack on here. So Jack Thompson, the Throwin Samoan. This guy, 1979 was the 3rd overall pick in the first round. The Bengals had 2 picks that year. out of Washington State. They picked Jack Thompson. He played for the Bengals from 79 to 82, went to Tampa, played for a couple years, 83, 84. But Jack had an outstanding college career as well. So we're going to get into that. But we have a short video clip that we're going to do an intro on before we bring Jack.
Jack Thompson, Samoan. Is there a cooler nickname than the Throwin Samoan? Jack Thompson took his talents to Pullman, Washington, and a legend was born. The records he set there? Where to start? Passes, plays, yards, touchdowns. When he was finished, he was a first-team All-American. One of only 2 football players to have his number retired at Wazoo. When told he would be honored by the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame, what did Jack Thompson do? He passed the attention to his former Cougar teammates. Jack Thompson was the 3rd overall pick in the 1979 NFL Draft. 3rd overall. Let that sink in. Thompson played 6 seasons in the NFL. His biggest play came long after his playing days. In 2009, Thompson quarterbacked Phil the Helmet, a relief mission of sorts to provide much-needed assistance to those in American Samoa affected by a tsunami. When it came time to help his fellow Pacific Islanders, Jack Thompson, one of the most prolific passers in college football history, didn't pass on the responsibility. And that's a Hall of Fame move.
Go ahead and bring Jack out. Hey, Jack, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
That's a nice clip there, Jim.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Welcome, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you. This is exciting to kind of relive vicariously through you guys. Anyways, all things Bengals.
That's
great.
right, man.
I love my time. I love my time in Cincinnati. My only regret is that I didn't stick around longer.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Absolutely, brother. So you're West Coast time right now. Is it about 5:30 where you're at,
Yep.
Jack?
Exactly.
Well, Jack, we're going to talk some Bengals, guy. Jack,
Okay.
we got to start, Jack, and it's fun. Like we just love having what we call our Bengal OGs on, the Bengal players from the 70s and 80s that we don't want anybody to forget about, Jack. And I talked to several of your teammates today as well, and every one of them, the underlying theme was Jack was the nicest guy that you ever want to meet, and that's from your teammates. That's Gary Burley and some of these other guys that I've talked to today about you. So you were very well respected for sure. But let's talk about your college career at Washington State. I found all kinds of great clips, Jack, from college. Man, you concluded your career as one of the most prolific passers in college football history. I mean, you set all kinds of Pac-10 records: attempts, completions, TD passes. You threw for almost 8,000 yards. 3-time All-Conference. One of 2 players in school history to have their number retired. Jack, you had a hell of a career, buddy. And we're going to play a quick game clip here from 1977 against you guys versus Nebraska. So we're going to play a short clip here real quick.
Okay.
Jamie, I think that's clip 2.
September 10th, 1977. Washington State, under head coach Warren Powers and led by All-Pac-8 quarterback Jack Thompson, took on number 15 Nebraska in Lincoln. Nicknamed the Throwin Samoan, Thompson hit flanker Brian Kelly for 2 touchdowns as the Cougars knocked off the Huskers 19-10 the final. It was Nebraska's first non-conference loss at home since 1969.
All right, Jack, so we're putting you on the spot early. Do you remember that game against Nebraska, number 15 Nebraska at Nebraska?
Yeah, I remember it. Warren Powers, our head coach that they highlighted, the year before, he was the defensive back coach for the Cornhuskers, and we hired him as our head coach. And he, I give him all the credit in terms of he came, brought a slew of assistant coaches with him from Nebraska, and they went about the business as soon as they came on the campus of preparing us for that game against Nebraska. And when we got to Lincoln, he he showed us the front page of the Lincoln journal, whatever the newspaper was or is, and it showed us as 24-point underdogs, something like that. And I remember him saying something to the effect of, we got some big surprises for him, which we did. We were really prepared to go into Lincoln, Nebraska, because he did a great job of coaching us up and helping us visualize that stage. And that was the biggest stage we'd been on ever leading up to that game. And our guys, we were up to the task. Our defense played a great game. And, we scored enough points on offense to win the game. So it was very memorable. The most memorable thing for me afterwards is, we had beat this really good team and at their place. And as we were going after the game, we're heading into the locker room. There were about 40,000 fans, Nebraska fans, who stayed behind and gave us a standing ovation. Go figure on that one, right? Wow. And it was to this day, I'm just blown away. They're the greatest fans I'd ever played in front of, with the exception of Cincinnati Bengal fans, of course.
That's right. I mean, so the big thing about that, as I was reading on that game, Jack, is that game right there was the first non-conference loss Nebraska had since like 1969, or something like that. So that was a really big deal back then. So it was a big, big deal.
It was a big thing for Cougar football because, the following week we went, again, another away game. We went to East Lansing and beat Michigan State Spartans.
Wow.
And it was and we just failed on a kick, on a place kick, to win the game, field goal rather, at the end of the game against Kansas. The next week we traveled again, this time to University of Kansas, and or we would have been 3-0. But it was a great year. It was a great building block type of year for Washington State University, because after that, we were able to get our fair share of great quarterbacks down the road.
Yeah, that's good. So it's funny. Usually we have hundreds and hundreds of people watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Jack, all combined. And you have a neighbor on here somewhat close to you. He's in the Seattle area. But if you could put Richard Dalton's question up for Jack, I want to ask this. Jack, can you read that question? Were you a Washington University Husky? Were you a Husky fan growing up?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was raised a Husky. I was born in American Samoa, and my dad came to Seattle. And when he brought the family over, the minute we stepped foot on Seattle, I mean, he brainwashed us to be Husky fans, and it just didn't work out. During the recruiting trails in 1973, 74, a couple things happened between, their head coach at the time, me and my parents, that, it iced the deal for me to go to WSU, and no regrets. I love my time in WSU, and to this day is the best decision.
Good stuff. All right, so let's get into your time in Cincinnati, Jack. So that 1979 draft, that was a hell of a draft for the Bengals. It was 2 first-round draft picks. We had you, and we drafted Charles Alexander.
Charlie.
We had Dan Ross in that draft, Max Montoya in that draft. So talk about some of those guys you came in with.
Great class, like you said, Jim. The day of the draft, I'll never forget this, is I was at my mom and dad's house. I think the draft started at 10 a.m. East Coast time, 7 a.m. Seattle time. And leading up to that draft, I was targeted to go 7th pick to New York, the Giants. And in fact, 3 weeks before the draft, Ray Perkins came to Pullman, and he said, "Have your bags packed. We're picking you." And so I took him at his word, and so I believe each pick was 5 minutes long, and so he didn't have much time between picks. And so I was thinking 7 times 5, that's 35 minutes, about 10:35 or 7:35 a.m. our time, I should be ready for a possible call. And we had like 40 members, family members at our house, at my mom and dad's house. And at around 7:15, 7:13, I get a call, and someone who answered it said, "Hey, it's for you." I didn't know who it was. And And I answered it. It was a lady, and she says, "Well, congratulations, you've been, this is Cincinnati Bengals." And I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a practical joke that was being played. And I said, "Yeah, right." And there was a camera crew there that day, and they had the camera on me. And then after a while, like maybe 10 seconds into the conversation, wait a minute, I think this is serious. And she says, "Please hold the line. Coach Brown would like to talk with you." And, it's the first time you've ever seen a Samoan turn white, right? I'm thinking, what? And meantime, the camera guy kind of caught wind that maybe this is a serious call. And he turned on the camera and he says, "Could you please smile?" And I was still kind of taken. And sure enough, Coach Brown comes on the line, and I remember that voice, growing up, having watched the NFL, and sure enough, he said, "Congratulations, we're getting ready to come to Cincinnati." And so that was a surprise.
You had no clue that you were on there. I'll be done.
No. In fact, I think Coach Rice came to Pullman as well a month before that, and speculation had it that they were going to pick, the tight end that went to San Diego.
Kellen Winslow.
That's who was projected to go to Cincinnati at the time, and I was grateful. When reality hit, Coach Brown said, "You're going to get on the plane tomorrow." I think the next day it took off. Came to Cincinnati, met Charlie and Dan, which is Ross, and it was great to. I had met Charlie during the summer before our senior year in college, and we were on an ABC tour together. And we were just kind of chuckling, to find ourselves both in Cincinnati. And when I went to Riverfront Stadium, I remember the Reds had a practice going on. And I was sitting in the right field wall, bleachers, and someone told Johnny Bench that, the draft pick is out there, and he yells out and he says, "Catch!" And he throws a ball like he was like maybe halfway up first baseline. And I swear it hit me right here. And of course I caught it because I didn't want to look like a fool. But it was very heady stuff because, here I am watching Big Red Machine, right? Pete, Johnny Bench and Griffey, and I believe he was on the team. But anyway, it was an awesome experience.
So wait a minute. So Johnny Bench throws a ball to you from near first base, and you're in right field, and you didn't even move your hand, and it didn't hurt. Come on.
It hurt. It hurt like hell. But I'm not gonna let on. I gave it a cushion, catch, and anyway, that was my first experience with Johnny Bench. I got to see Johnny, throughout the years when I was in Cincinnati. But it was a great experience, and I love Cincinnati. It was a great place.
Yeah,
Jack, you didn't catch that with your throwing hand, did you?
No, in fact, I caught it with my glove hand, without the glove.
All right, Jack, that's great. That's a great story, man. Thanks for sharing that one. So, all right, so I had a bunch of video clips I could have chosen here. I don't want to. I told you 20 minutes to half an hour, so I want to respect your time. No. Everybody that's viewing right now, I know we have some questions being thrown in the chat area. Make sure you get your questions for Jack in the chat area. We'll throw those up here here in a little bit and let Jack answer your questions directly. But Jack, I have a video clip here from 1980. You had a couple memorable games for sure. 80, I think you threw 11 or 12 touchdowns that year. But there was a game late in the year in 1980 against the Pittsburgh Steelers that you came in for an injured Ken Anderson. And we're going to play this little short clip, and then we're going to have a conversation about it. Clip number 3, I think.
Replaced injured Ken Anderson as quarterback, led the Bengals to a field goal and 2 perfectly pinpointed touchdown passes as Cincinnati upset Pittsburgh for the 2nd straight year in Riverfront Stadium. With the 30-28 victory, the Bengals knocked the Steelers from the ranks of the undefeated and gave Forrest Gregg his initial victory as Cincinnati head coach. Meanwhile,
Jack, you threw a touchdown pass to Isaac Curtis. That is awesome.
I loved Ice. Ice was my man. He was too cool for school. Let me tell you. I mean, the way Ice would, just walk, the way he sauntered, he was just the coolest dude in the world, and he was a hell of a receiver, that's for sure.
Yeah. So talk about, you remember that game at all, Jack?
I do. I remember going in for Kenny. Kenny got dinged, and shortly after I came in, I was holding on to the ball. I was dropping back, and I was going to hit Dan Ross, and I held the ball, and I released it. LC Greenwood just bulldozed me, and the first thing that touched the back of the ground behind me was the top of my head, and he pile drived me. And I remember I'm just laying there thinking, this is not good because I don't feel much below my neck, and all kidding aside, and LC looks down, and I don't know if you guys remember LC. He wore those size 18 gold shoes. He looked like skis, right? And he just looked down. He says, "Are you okay, boy?" I said, "I think so. Give me a second." And fortunately, I got up, and I may have come out of the game for a play, and then I went back, and it was a fun game. That touchdown pass there to Ice was thrown right into coverage, and I said, "Just throw the ball to me. I'll catch it." and sure enough, he caught the ball, and he was, the nickname Ice is so appropriate for Isaac Curtis because he's, like I said, he's such a cool guy.
Now he lives out in your neck of the woods, I think, right? He's still out in the California area.
Ice? I thought he lives in Cincinnati.
No, he's out west.
Really?
I've been trying to get him on the show here. I know he's out west somewhere. I want to say he's Los Angeles area, but I could be wrong. But I know
that would be a great interview because, man, he's such a cool customer, man.
So that video clip. Go ahead, Jamie. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said he's our white whale. He's the one we've been trying to get.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
We've gotten everybody, Jack. We've gotten everybody. We got Jack Thompson, Chris Collinsworth, Ken Anderson, Anthony Munoz. We got them all. We just can't get Ike. We're trying. We're trying.
You're saving the best for last.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey, that game right there, Jack, was interesting because, that was the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers that you guys had beaten in 79 and in 80 at home.
Yeah.
And you came in that fourth quarter. You led us 17 points in that fourth quarter. You threw 2 touchdowns in that fourth quarter to win the game. That was a 30-28 victory over the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers. That was a hell of a game, hell of a fourth quarter for you.
It was, we were on a roll. I mean, at the end of the day, we knew we had to pass the ball. They knew we had to pass the ball, to catch up and, even have a chance of winning. And all the receivers, you were all in sync. It was just a great moment in time, actually. And I remember, I think we were down on the near the goal line on the 3-yard line, something like that. And I think the score was 27-28. How many points did they score, Jim?
It was 30-28 was the final.
Okay, 30-28. So it's 27-28. And I came off the sidelines, and Coach Gregg, I love Coach Gregg. He was my favorite coach. And I said, "Coach, let's go for it. Let's go for the touchdown." He says, "Are you crazy? Shut up, sit down." So he did the right thing. I said, "Come on, we can score a touchdown. It would be a hell of a statement." He just said, "Shut up, sit down." Something like that. It was a great call.
And the other thing I didn't realize either, Jack, that was you won the game. That was Forrest Gregg's first victory as a head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
Until I heard that, I was wondering the context of that, but that was great. Like I said, I loved playing for Coach Gregg. He was, before he came to Cincinnati, he had quite a reputation in Cleveland and whatnot. And, when the Cincinnati, our team, when he was coming in, we were wondering, oh man, we've heard these horror stories, but he was such a mean dude. And the first meeting we had, it was like at 9 a.m. and I was in my seat ready to take notes, and he walks in and he's looking at at the team, the classroom, and a couple guys were they were straggling in like about 9:04 whatever, and he just stood up at the podium and he had his hands on the podium like this, and he was strumming his fingers. And I remember every fourth finger, you can hear it hit because he had Super Bowl rings, and he had such big fingers. I mean, they were huge. And every time those rings would hit the podium, it made a noise. And people kind of got they got the message. And then when finally everyone was settled, he just looked out, and I thought maybe he's going to say, "Welcome, gentlemen," something like that, right? I swear, he said this. He says, "Some of you are too damn fat to play in the NFL." I said, "Whoa, whoa!" Those are like the first words he uttered as the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, that was my memory, right? Because it blew me away. This, and then what he had to say, because he laid the gauntlet early and said, if you want to win, you're going to do it my way, and we did.
And I think that team needed that discipline.
Yes.
After Homer Rice for a couple of years, I think so.
Yes. Timing was perfect, and we had the right man for the job, and I consider myself very fortunate to have played for him.
That's cool. So, Jack, I have one more question. I know Tom and Jamie. Then we got a bunch of questions in the chat area we'll get to, but I want to talk about the Throwin Samoan, right? That's your nickname. That nickname was given to you, I think, in college.
Yep.
But talk about your heritage, man, and the Samoan heritage, because I think I was watching an interview, and I might have this a little wrong, Jack, but I think you might have been playing USC for the first time, and across the line of scrimmage from you were 4 or 5 other Samoans, right? And they were pointing to you, like, he looks like a Samoan or something.
Yeah. Well, the game was UCLA.
Oh, that's who it was. That's right.
And the middle linebacker was Terry Tautolo, and he had Manu Tuisopo, their nose guard. He had Pete Pele at a defensive end, and I come up to the line of scrimmage, and Terry looked at me, and he said, "Sole," that means "hey, dude," in Samoan. And I looked at him and said, "Talofa," that means hello. And he about dropped his transmission, and he didn't realize that this is a Samoan, because Jack Thompson, that's not quite, your basic Samoan name. And it was a great game because they were fierce as always, and they sacked me maybe 3 or 4 times, but they would, pick me up, and said, "Hey, go get them," that type of thing. But they would come after you, when in between whistles. But one time I kept the ball. We were running an option, and I kept the ball, and I cut and went upfield. And one of the guys, I got tackled, and one of the guys cheap shotted me. And I got up. I was ticked. And I got in the guy's face. And Terry comes over and said, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" And I told him, "This dude just, cheap shotted me." And Terry turns on that guy and said, "You don't do that." It was just great. It was a great bonding moment. And, for Polynesian / Samoan football, that wave of players, I came into the league with Manu Tuisopo, Frank Maumaliunga. Year before that was Mosi Tutupu and Wilson Faumana. So that was like the first major wave. And since then, it's been a tsunami. You guys have had your share of Samoans, Ray Maluma. And so it's something I'm very, very proud of. And, we take pride in being good guys. I don't think you'll see a bunch of Samoans you'll ever see an arrogant, cocky Samoan. It's just not in our culture. And we're fierce competitors. That's just in our nature. But we're very coachable. And the family unit is paramount to our culture, and it shows.
Yeah, that's neat. Thanks for sharing that. So, Tom, I know you had some things to hit on as well.
Just a question, Jack. You touched on a very special guy in Isaac Curtis, but I was wondering about some of the other guys you threw the ball to while you were here that, like, you were big in Bengal lore. The guy in your draft class, Dan Ross, Pat McAnally, a guy you seem to throw to a lot, as I remember, Don Bass, the late Don Bass, and even a scrawny kid that we got from Florida in the second round in '81, Chris Collinsworth.
All those guys, Tom, are, again, I consider myself lucky to have played alongside with these guys because they were so talented. Going back to Dan Ross, he wasn't the biggest tight end, but he had hands and as far as running routes, he executed his routes perfectly. He and Kenny, made a living off of what we call the option route, and he'd go out in 8 to 10 yards, and he would have an option to go in or go out, and it was like Kenny would, they were in sync, and he knew where Dan was going to go, and not only Dan would go there, he'd make the catch, but Chris Collinsworth. The only reason why I watch Sunday Night Football is because of Chris. I love his commentary. Aside from being, he was a great player. He was so fast. So he ran like a broken, junkyard, a fast junkyard car. He's all over the place, but he was fast, talented, and gutsy too. He made the clutch catches, and he was a hell of a receiver. But I really enjoy watching him on Sunday Night Football. And frankly, for me, when I hear Chris, I think of Cincinnati. So it's it's kind of like a security thing for me. I got to watch Chris because of that, that connection. And now Pat McAnally. Okay, down to that guy. I got one quick Pat McAnally story. We were playing against Cleveland, 1980, last game of the year, like 11 degrees out, and it was electric. We were playing in Cincinnati, but Cleveland they had to beat us to make it into the playoffs or something like that. So they had a lot riding on it, and it inside the stadium, it was almost scary. Just the feeling out there, but it was exhilarating as well. And early in the game, Pat did a slant, and I threw the ball, and I hung him out, and Tom Darden, their free safety, went right for his head and knocked him out. I thought maybe he killed him because he went down like a sack of potatoes, and he's laying there. I'm thinking, oh my God, I just killed McAnally, and I was scared. And then he took him out in a stretcher, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm just so worried about him. I don't know how much later. Next thing you know, the crowd goes crazy, and I look over, and it's McAnally running onto the field. And I'm thinking, what the hell? It's like he came back from the from the dead. Not only does he come in, we complete a 60-yard touchdown pass. It was the most unbelievable, sequence of plays I'd ever been a part of, and he, his toughness, he's so funny. He's one of the few guys that could get Forrest Gregg to laugh. To break that face, that the stern look that Coach Gregg always had. But Pat had him. Pat had his number, and I loved it. And not only did he have Forrest's number, he had the whole Cincinnati Bengal team number, whites, blacks, you name it. He had them rolling, and so then on top of that, his kicking prowess. I mean, my gosh, the guy was just he's a stud athlete, and on top of that, he was pretty smart, from what I heard.
Yeah, he's we had him on. We had him on that Super Bowl 16 special, Jack, and he had us crying, laughing.
Everybody. He had Collins laughing pretty hard too. That was funny.
I swear he missed his calling. I told this to Jim when we had our pre-talk, and because he's brilliant. There's no in his humor. You guys heard that story about him when he was in the All-Stars back in college. where all the guys are bragging about what did your line average? Oh, they're 6'5", 295, and then McInerney walks by, and they say, and they all chuckled, and they say, "Hey, Mac, what did your offensive line?" He said, 3.9. Or something like that, right? I know I'm butchering this story, but he was one of a kind. When you think about it, I played with a lot of one of a kinds, in ice. Anthony Munoz, one of the best ever to play that position. I swore when he came to camp, I thought he's got to be part Samoan. The dude had this afro, and I'm thinking he looked Samoan, and I wanted him to be Samoan, but but I got to know Anthony real well, but he was just a fabulous human being who happened to be perhaps the best football player I've ever played with. All awesome. And so, there's just a lot of one of the kinds. Gary Burley, Louis Breeden, I can go on. Ken Riley. Oh, the two Kens. Why aren't the two Kens in the hall? And Kenny Anderson, I'll be very upfront with you. Kenny and I didn't get along when I first came. I don't blame him. Here's this cocky. I wasn't cocky, but this really overly confident kid coming in and wanting to unseat him. But in hindsight, when I look back, why is Kenny Anderson not in the hall? Are you serious?
Yeah, we're with you. We got a big event June 19th up at the Hall of Fame to try to address that, Jack. So Ken Riley and Ken Anderson absolutely should be in there, no doubt.
Well, count me in that club. Hey, can I tell you a quick story about Ken Anderson?
Absolutely, would love it.
Okay, so in the year that Super Bowl run, in the preseason, I was giving Kenny a run. That was my job, but in the last preseason game against Denver, I got a really bad high ankle sprain, held me out for several weeks. So the next week, the starting game we played against the Seattle Seahawks. Kenny had a tough go at the beginning, and he brought in Turk. He was the third string quarterback, and we all know Turk did an unbelievable job. He led us back. We won the game. So after that game, I remember I was so pissed off that I wasn't able to play, but I got to watch things unfold, and I remember being in a quarterback meeting room before it started, and Kenny comes in. This is in preparation for the next game because there was a lot of talk going on. Are they going to start Turk and this and that? And Kenny comes in. It's one of the few times he and I ever really spoke. And he said to me, I don't know how it came to be, but he said something to the effect, I need to go in and talk to Forrest. I said, about what? I said, I need to start this game. And my memory wants to tell me, like, he said something to the effect of, if this team owes me anything, I need to start this next game. I said, right on, Ken. In one of the few moments where I let my guard down, and I said, I don't blame you. Well, he went in, and my memory serves me correctly. He went and talked to Forrest. Well, he started the next game. What happens? He leads us to the Super Bowl. He's the MVP of the year, comeback player of the year. That, to me, has etched in stone my respect for him forever. To do what he did, how he did it, and he hit some serious stones. Yeah. And I give him all the kudos in the world. And like I said, the two Kens. I'm gonna tell you, Bengal Jim, you're gonna fail if you're not able to get those two in the hall. No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure.
we got thousands and thousands of people heading to Canton. So it's going to be. We've got media involved. We've got a lot of former players and some current guys involved. It's going to be a big deal, Jack. So, Jack, you okay if you take a couple questions from our viewers? You still have a few minutes?
Fire away.
Go ahead, Jamie.
All right. First one here is from one of our regular viewers, Tony. Question: you played for 4 different coaches in 4 years in college. What did you learn from that experience?
How to be flexible, I guess. It was a really weird time, one after another, and it was really a revolving door scenario. And fortunately, my 4th year, Jim Walden was the coach, and he stuck around for 9 years. We absolutely needed to have that happen, or our program would have been in terrible shape. And fortunately, he stuck around for 9 years, did a good job, and we've had our share of good coaches ever since.
Great. Next one here. Sorry, I lost it. What was your favorite year playing for the Bengals in the NFL?
I'd have to say that 80 season. I got to play a fair amount of time, and I felt like I belonged in the NFL, and I also got to know my teammates in Cincinnati really well, and my regret is that I didn't finish my career in Cincinnati. All things considered, it's just because for me it was a great fit, and from the moment where Coach Brown chose me to my whole experience there, it was great.
Question from Jennifer: do you still follow the Bengals now? And if you do, what do you think of Joe Burrow?
I do follow the Bengals from afar, obviously, but I think Joe Burrow is, wow, what a talent. And he is, he didn't play like a rookie. And, he has Kenny Anderson's accuracy, maybe more, given the kind of offenses that run today. But he is very impressive. I'm looking forward. They just need to get the right pieces around him, and I think the Bengals can be back in the game again.
I had another question here. I can't find it, but I remember what it was. Somebody in the chat asked, "What do you think what do you think is the biggest difference in football now from when you played before? Like, what's the biggest difference in the game? You watching as a fan can tell."
Well, from a former player, when I talked to you, Bengal Jim, I told you I was at that the wellness assessment program, the Milestone Wellness Assessment Program. I attended down in Newport Beach. It was 2 days of extensive medical prodding and testing, MRIs, X-rays, and whatnot. Where I'm going with that is that biggest difference that I see, glaring difference, is the amount of attention given to the safety, around the game. My generation, I think of my generation as we were the AstroTurf generation. Basically almost a guinea pig, of things that would work, wouldn't work, and a lot of guys in my generation, sadly sustained some serious injuries along the way. Not that there aren't major injuries sustained now, but they're just different, I guess, and they're doing a better job of taking care of the players' health.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, Jack, look, man, I know we were going way over our time. I told you, I apologize, but
no problem.
So I do have one more question. It's a simple one. We ask all of our former players this question. Biggest rivalry to you, the city up north, a.k.a. Cleveland, or the city near West Virginia, a.k.a. the Pittsburgh Steelers? Who is your biggest rival in your mind?
Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, number one, I hated them.
Best answer ever.
Glenn Bujnak, the first time I ever went to Pittsburgh as a rookie, I was coming out, and I was just this young whippersnapper, thinking that I can do anything, and I was running out there, and Glenn Bujnak, our offensive guard, he grabs me by the shoulder pads. He pulls me back. He says, "Hey, you dumbass, put your helmet on." I said, "Why?" He said, "Just put your helmet on." Put my helmet on. I walk out. A beer bottle goes flying by my helmet or something. I could have sworn it was a beer bottle. Whatever it was not good. And I said, "Whoa, okay, this is the makings of a rivalry." And if I do remember, we did a good job against the they were right in the midst of their Super Bowl runs, and I don't know. I think we won out of the 6 games that we played. I think we won 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
Even during our lean time. So
yeah, I think you swept them in 80. I think, if I'm not mistaken, home and away. But I know you guys had success against those guys.
Well, last quick story, because since we're on this,
please share. We're good.
Yeah, I remember being on the sidelines. We're playing in Cincinnati, and Homer Rice is the head coach, and we're beating them really soundly. And it is the game that I think Franco Harris fumbled. I could have sworn he fumbled like 4 or 5 times. But we won the game, and the game was well in hand. And Forrest turns around and says, "Jack, get in there." I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers." So I run in, and I remember thinking as I was running in, my dad's watching this. And I don't know why, but I was just kind of feeling intimidated, perhaps. I don't know. But I go in the huddle, and I'm trying to fake it like I'm good. Let's get up in the line of scrimmage. I get in the line of scrimmage, and I look left, and I see Mel Blount, I see Jack Ham, I see L.C. Greenwood, Mean Joe Green, and then right in front of me was Jack Lambert. And I was doing fine. I was going red 48, red 48. Then I looked straight ahead of me, not more than 3 feet in front of me, because they played a 4-3 defense, and he's right in front of you. And he yells a couple F-bombs at me because we were killing him, right? And I go, "Blue 45, blue 45." And I said, and I looked at him. I said, "Huh?" And I lost, my voice broke. And Blair Bush hikes the ball, and it's a fumble. It's a mad dash for the ball. And I'm under the huddle, or the people, the bodies trying to get the ball, because I'm thinking, well, you better get that ball because you're already looking like a fool, fumbling your first play. And Jack Lambert was just pummeling me, saying, "Welcome to the NFL." I could have sworn he said, "Welcome to the NFL, bleep, bleep. Rookie." So that was my experience, my first play against the Steelers.
They're always so classy.
I didn't care much for them.
Last question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm getting in trouble in the chat here for not asking you this one. So Bengals are going to be unveiling a uniform change for this season. Someone in the chat's asking, how did you like the jersey change in 1981?
I loved it. I remember I got, Coach Brown, I said to him, "Hey, these are cool looking uniforms. These are a lot better than those butt ugly block lettered." And he looked at me and says, "Do you think that's funny?" I'm thinking, "No, sir, I'm sorry. But great uniforms. I really like these uniforms."
So Jack, let me get this straight. You're talking to Paul Brown, the uniforms that he took from Cleveland, because they were his uniform designs.
Yep.
And you just badmouth Paul Brown's uniforms right in front of him.
Not very bright. I wasn't, the sharpest tool and I would needle, Coach Brown on occasion. I used to make fun of Spinney Field.
Oh.
I'd come out there and it was the worst place ever, to put it. If you want to think of a place, the worst place to put a football field, Spinney Field was it. That location. Heck, EPA used to do their testing on the bridge next to us, right? Air quality testing.
Yep.
And then one of the years, I think you guys remember, this iron ore place, a coal depository blew up.
Yep.
It blew up.
Was it Queen City Barrel? Maybe, I don't know.
That was it.
Our cameraman almost got knocked, off the the pedestal. Where he was, and he took it. He got a picture of it. And I hope he made some money selling it to the news, because this thing, it was a fireball. We can feel it, right? And I remember just every once in a while, I gingerly poke fun at Spinney Field to Coach Brown, and he'd say, "Shut up and get to work." I enjoyed working for the Browns family. And last, a quick story. I remember when I was playing, Katie Brown and Paul Brown Jr. They're just children, and I thought they're the nicest children. And I think Katie was 13, 14, 15, and then she took off to Yale or somewhere, and I always knew she was bright, and she sure was. And but I just remember those two. They're the nicest kids.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, Jack, I cannot begin to tell you how much we appreciate you coming on today. And
my pleasure.
It's like, the old school guys like us, we know who you are, brother. We love you. And it's really cool to see the comments. There's hundreds of things going on in the chat area. People are hearing stories, Jack, for the first time they've never heard before. And a lot of these young folks are hearing from Jack Thompson and seeing you for the first time ever. So you will never be forgotten in Cincinnati football history, Jack. We appreciate everything, and thanks so much for coming on with us.
Jim, thank you. Jamie, Tom, it's nice to meet you guys.
Nice to see you.
Thank
you. Take care.
See you, Jack. Thanks, buddy.
Bye now.
He was great.
That was fun. Those are some great stories, guys.
That was as advertised. Class act.
Yeah, classy all the way. And I love the insight there about him not getting along with Kenny. He was very honest about that, and then telling the story how he, got that was cool. That's really good stories. Really good story.
I thought it was cool. I've heard some of those stories before. The one I did not hear before was that Johnny Bench throw from first base all the way up to right field, and he catches it. That was really cool.
The version of the story after the Seattle game that I'd always heard was, and maybe this was part of Forrest Gregg's decision, was that Paul Brown, not overbearing, but politely met with Forrest and suggested, hey, Turk did a great job. I understand the enthusiasm of thinking he can play against the Jets, but Turk Sharnet's not going to take us where we want to be this year. Ken Anderson will. And keep in mind that week, one of Ken's sons had been very ill, and he had not had a normal week of preparation. So I'm glad Kenny went in and talked to him too.
Yep. And it's it was just a lot of cool stories there. Just a very down-to-earth, classy guy, as advertised, like you said, Tom. Good stuff. All right, we're way over again, guys, so let's go ahead and close it out. Tom, we'll start with you on your closing comments.
Big week, big times coming up, so follow on social media. I'm sure the faces you're seeing here will be tweeting about it, and everybody who follows us on Twitter. But a lot of guys at the Bengals are interested, have their pro days coming up, namely an offensive lineman in Oregon and a wide receiver at LSU. So we should be hearing hopefully some good things and some reassuring things.
Guys, what I'm most looking forward to with this draft is not who we take at 5. It's so I don't have to see any more of these mock drafts every friggin' day. I'm so sick of these mock. I've never understood them. I never got into them. I do a lot of fantasy sports, and I've done a couple mock drafts for my fantasy sports teams. But man, some guys are doing like 100 different models of mock drafts. It's crazy. And also, Jim, I think you've been on the Cincinnati Sports with Strawberry Ice. You've been on his show before, right?
Yeah, he's a really good dude. Yep.
Yours truly will be on Tuesday, 5:30. I've been invited to come on. I think he wants me to produce the show or something. I don't know. We'll have to see. So I'm going to be hanging out with those guys on Tuesday, chatting.
Jimmy, is it the free agency period for producers right now?
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, all right, there you
go. Dude, he's got a 3-year contract, Tom. It's a big time deal.
Yeah.
Better than me. I'm taxi squad.
I'd like James. I'll be here every week. Don't worry.
When we're back on the 11th, we're going to give James some shit. So the last comment.
We gotta wait till then.
Yeah. Well, the last comment I wanted to make on that, Jack Thompson was drafted in '79 to replace Ken Anderson. Period. Paul Brown goes to Ken Anderson and tells him that. So obviously, if I'm a quarterback and somebody's trying to replace me, I'm probably not going to be very friendly to that individual, or they're going to, they had that. And that's not the only quarterback situations happen like that in the NFL, right? That probably happens to this day. But I want to say thanks everybody for joining us again. Jack Thompson, I had a lot of fun with. There's going to be some fun clips to take out of that discussion. And again, thank you, Richard Dalton, for that graphic. That is just a beautiful graphic. Amazing stuff here. So love it. Thank you for being such a diehard Bengals fan and helping us all out. We appreciate you, buddy. Reminder, next week, we're taking a week off, Easter. Enjoy Easter with your family. Have fun. Enjoy things with on Easter weekend next week. Another thank you to everybody watching, especially the Jungle Joe for getting us the Boomer Esiason jersey for the duck races today. $800 to the Boomer Esiason Foundation because of you guys. You guys are already over $5,500 raised in 2021, and the season hasn't even started. We're going to put up some big numbers this year, guys. That's a really cool thing. Just reminders of some dates again. April 24th, the Bengal fans pub crawl. We're going to start out then at Paul Brown Stadium. Have a lot of fun with that, guys. We're going to put times on there, estimated times. That way, if you can't start off with us at Paul Brown Stadium, you'll kind of know about where we're going to be during that afternoon. So June 19th, guys, spread the word. Friends, family, whatever you got to do. It is important for us. We're going to have so much media and a lot of stuff going up there. We will be doing a live remote show from that from our event tent right next to the entrance of the Hall of Fame. So it's going to be a very big deal. We're asking that we get every Bengal fan that can make it up there that day, even if it's just a day trip up there and back. Discounted tickets to the Hall of Fame. We've got discounted hotel rooms, the whole 9 yards. So a lot of fun. We need to make sure we show out big time. And that's it, guys. We appreciate everything. We will see you back on the 11th. And I think I told you we've got Archie Griffin on the 11th, Emily Parker on the 18th, and Dan Shanka. We're trying to get locked up for one of those dates as well to talk some NFL draft. As always, we appreciate you. By the fans, for the fans. We love you guys. Thanks so much again.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Cheers.